Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम् रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. 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 Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubih Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti nah Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemih Swasti no Bruhaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Second and third mantra. Divyo Hyamurtaf Purushah Divyo Hyamurtaf Purushah Sabāhyābhyantaro Hyajah Aprano Hyamana Shubhrah Yaksharat Parataf Parah Etasmāt Jayate Pranah Manas Sarvendriyani Cha Kham Vayurjyotirapah Pruthivi Vishwasya Dharini. Second mantra pointed out to the truth devoid of conditioning. Any conditioning that could be mistakenly attributed to consciousness, that was negated in consciousness. Prana, Manaha and Deha. Ajaha referred to body. Prana and Mana referred to subtle body. And Aksharat Paratah Paraha referred to causal body. So that consciousness which is devoid of gross, subtle and causal conditioning, that consciousness is Akshara. And it is known as Aparoksha. Aparoksha word is very important. Sometimes what happens when we say I, if we are mixing ego in that I, then that statement doesn't resonate. the statement that Akshara is the cause of creation, Akshara is the origin of creation, substratum of creation, that is easy to appreciate. But when we say I am origin of creation, creation appears in me, that becomes difficult to understand and absorb, because in I we are mixing conditioning. Finite I, what we call as the ego, ahankara, or conditioned I, can never be cause of creation. It can never be substratum of creation, because it is part of creation. Body is part of creation, so from body standpoint we cannot say I am the substratum of creation. So first part was to negate conditionings from I. Negate body, negate mind, negate even causal conditioning, and see whether we are able to shift attention to that unconditioned truth. From that standpoint, all other mantras will resonate better. So that word aparoksha means it is me, myself. It is not in front of my eyes as an object, pratyaksha, nor is it paroksha, somewhere else. It is aparoksha, it is me, myself. Then mantra number 3 spoke about etasmat. From that same aparoksha, akshara, all these conditionings have come. Prana has come, mana has come, all sense organs, sarvendriyani cha. Appreciate the 2 steps in Vedanta. First step is to keep conditionings away and shift attention to unconditioned truth. Second step is to appreciate that all those conditionings which I kept away, they don't have an independent existence. They are appearing in consciousness, but because it's an appearance, consciousness cannot be called as one that is endowed with prana, endowed with mind. So emergence of these conditionings is not a real emergence. It is just like the illusory snake emerges from the rope. So this is the thought process that a student of Advaita Vedanta should cultivate. If I just keep conditionings away and say I am consciousness, that is 50% Advaita Vedanta, only step 1. Step number 2, I should inquire into those things which I have kept away and come to this conviction that all those things are an appearance in me. In Vedantic terms, one is called as vivicya. Vivechanam means to separate 2 things, Atma and Anatma. And second part is pravilapanam. Pravilapanam means we dissolve that Anatma back into Atma. First part is we kept Anatma away from Atma. Second part is whatever I have kept away, I have to dissolve it back and come to this conclusion that there is only one entity, not Atma and Anatma as 2 separate. That's where that snake rope example is also very helpful. Step number 1, appreciate that rope is different, snake is different. Means that snake has not brought any change in the rope. Rope is untouched by the snake. Step number 2, appreciating that there is no snake. What I kept away, dissolving it into the substratum, that is step number 2. So here also all conditionings are mentioned, prana, mana, indriyas, and khamvayur jyotirapaha, pruthivi, all 5 elements, panchikruta panchamahabhuta, they have also emerged from that akshara. So the main point we saw here is we cannot leave aside inquiry into creation. If I only focus on witness of thought, that will not give me clarity about what is this world made up of. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Three entities starting their enquiry as three different things, but culminating in this understanding that it is only one appearing as three. Essential nature of Jiva is consciousness. Essential nature of Ishvara is consciousness. And Jagat is conditioning of Ishvara. Upadhi of Ishvara, just like Jiva has Deha, Ishvara has Samashti, total gross universe as the conditioning. So it is one truth appearing as three different things. If you want an example, you can think in this way. The canvas and painting example. So in a canvas, there is a nice painting where you have one child playing, more children playing along with that child, and you have the house, the tree, the mountain and the rivers, everything is there. Typical scenery that we draw. When you are little, if you are told to draw scenery, first two mountains, then crow, house, everything is there, and child is playing. Now to understand that the substratum of that one figure, one child or a person, is canvas. That is Tvam-pada Vichara. Although you might be pointing to color, name and form, but what you are really pointing to is canvas. But another thing to understand there is, even the mountain, rivers and all other things that you see there, substratum of that also is canvas alone. So whether you are pointing to the mountain or you are pointing to the child, the substratum of both is canvas. So here also, pointing out to the child and understanding the canvas to be substratum is mantra number 2. Divyo Hyamurta Purusha. And that same Akshara, what was understood in second verse, second mantra, is the substratum of this creation. That is mantra number 3. It's for very subtle meditation. But Vedanta says dukkha nivritti will not happen until we see consciousness in creation. In Drigdrishya Viveka, it was called as open-eyed meditation. Antar Samadhi and Bahya Samadhi. Bahya Samadhi will work for me only when I understand the substratum of names and forms is Chaitanya. In that way one can think about it. Now, fourth mantra is very poetic and devotional in nature. This is Upanishadic devotion. The expression of Viraat Purusha, what we chant in Purusha Suktam, the cosmic form of the Lord that is mentioned in this fourth verse. Agnirmurdha chakshushi chandra suryo Agnirmurdha chakshushi chandra suryo Dishashrotre vagvivrutascha vedaah Dishashrotre vagvivrutascha vedaah Dishashrotre vagvivrutascha vedaah Vagvivrutascha vedaah Vayuh prano hrudayam vishvamasya Vayuh prano hrudayam vishvamasya Padbhyam pruthivi Padbhyam pruthivi Yesha sarva bhutantaratma Yesha sarva bhutantaratma Together. Agnirmurdha chakshushi chandra suryau dishashrotre vagvivrutascha vedah vayuf prano hrudayam vishwamasya padbhyam pruthivi yesha sarva bhutantaratma. Agnihi Murdha. Agnihi here refers to Swargaloka, heaven. Murdha means it is the head. Why is it called the head? Even if you see the human body, majority of sense organs Bhagavan has placed in the head. You see the organs of perception. We have eyes, we have ears, we have nose, and also touch. All of them are fitted in the head only, including tongue. That is also one jnanendriya, but you can say it is karmaindriya also, speech. So in the entire body, majority sense organs are in the head. That's why Shankaracharya says it is uttamanga. Uttamanga means exalted organ in the body. I say, why are you distinguishing it as exalted? He said, just look at the importance Bhagavan has given. All sense organs, majority of them are there. So head of Akshara. We are talking about the same Akshara. Second mantra, what we spoke about, from that Akshara, all these conditionings have emerged. Now when it emerges in totality, what is the head of Akshara? Head is heaven. So here also we have to add few steps in between. So from Akshara, first subtle creation comes, Hiranyagarbha. From Hiranyagarbha, gross creation emerges, Viraat. So although there is Hiranyagarbha in between, what we have to understand is Viraat has come from Akshara only. Shankaracharya clarifies that sometimes when we see gross universe and somebody asks what is the cause of it, our mind at the most will go to Panchamahabhuta, 5 elements. So where have 5 elements come from? We will say Hiranyagarbha. Whereas Hiranyagarbha come from Akshara. So where has this word come from? From Akshara. That is the main point here. Although there is intermediate Hiranyagarbha present, he says Akshara has come from, our Viraat has come from the same Akshara. Viraat means the totality. Chakshushi Chandra Suryo. The eyes of that Viraat Purusha are sun and the moon. Chandra means the moon, Surya is the sun. There is one nice arti written by Guru Nanak Ji. It is said he went to Jagannath Puri and he was sitting outside looking at the form of the Lord. Right at that time, Arti started and everybody stood up. Guru Nanak Ji was in ecstasy and trance looking at the form of the Lord. So he did not get up. So the priest came and asked him that why did you not get up? Everybody got up. Didn't you see the Arti? And in the response to that question, he writes another Arti. He says, why aren't we able to see the cosmic Arti that is happening? But the metaphor that he gives is something very sweet and beautiful. In many Gurudwaras, this is sung as the Arti, but it is only sung. There is no action involved along with it. So he says, Gagan mein thal Ravi Chanda Deepaka. What is the cosmic Arti? The thali of that Arti is space. And the flame in that plate is sun and the moon. Chakshushi Chandra Surya. Sun and the moon, they are the flames going around doing this Arti. Then you need Aarti plate is decorated with pearls and jewels and nice things. So he says, Bane Tarika Mandala Janakamoti. The stars which are there, they are like the gems and jewels on that Aarti plate, nicely decorated. If Aarti is happening, you need to show incense stick also. Dhupamala Analo. The sandalwood trees which are there, the fragrance coming from those sandalwood trees, they are the incense for Bhagwan. Dhupa, that is that. And Pavana Chavaro Kare. What is the chavar? The fan that we do. He says the wind that is blowing, that is the fan for the Lord. Then what is the Naivedya? He says Sagala Banarai, Phulanta Jyoti. The fruits which are there on the trees, they are offering Naivedyam to the Lord. And the flowers, they are offering the mala and other things to Bhagavan. That is the cosmic offering of Naivedyam, cosmic offering of flowers. And he says, if somebody thinks about Bhagwan in this way, Kaisi Arati Hoi Bhavakhandana Teri. How is it that fear will not be destroyed in this person's heart? One who sees the Lord as this creation and cosmic power, result of that meditation, result of that drishti is bhaya goes away from their life. Means wherever he goes, either in nature or even at work, his bhavana is, this is my Bhagavan. Then finally he says, it's a long arti, but the last line of this first paragraph is, when you do arti, there are drums which are beaten. So what is the drum? He says, Anahata Sabada Bajanta Bheri Rahai. The unstruck sound of creation, Anahata Nada. That is the drums with which this arti is happening. It is the same bhavana. Wherever we see Viraat Purusha description, we have to appreciate that is Upanishadic bhakti. So much so that even if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, if you read that first portion where Bhagwan Vedvyasji is dejected, you say, or he feels discontent from within. Naradji comes and tells him that you have to sing the glories of Bhagwan Krishna. And what he does there is, he sits down and meditates. And meditates upon that truth from which this whole creation has come about. To make it easier for us, different names will be given. Bhagwan Krishna is that truth from which this whole creation has come, so that our devotion becomes sweeter. Then different things which have emerged from this creation, all of that he sees. And even if you see the foundation of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is there in Chatushloki Bhagavatam. 4 verses which form the basis of entire Srimad Bhagavatam. That is again this verse only. That truth from which this whole creation has emerged. One thing is to get vairagya from this creation, shift attention to that truth, and from the standpoint of that truth, again look back at creation. Vedanta is not telling us only to run away from creation. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, several places we will find Virata Rupa, darshan of the Lord. Chandra Suryau Dishaha Shrotre. Dishaha Shrotre means the directions are the ears of the Lord. That is why we say every element is presided over by a deity. So it becomes sweeter for us to appreciate. Moon is not only material thing that we see with craters and so on, but we say there is Chandra Devata. Surya Bhagwan, there is Surya Devata. And for direction, there is Dig Devata. Means it's a sentient principle. When Mahatma Ji says, wherever you say anything, it will go round and round, finally come back to you. You might have said it in some distant place, because Dig Devata is there also. Sentient principle. So if you say good things, it will go round and round, come back to that same person. And some erroneous thing he says, if not today, tomorrow. Dig Devata will bring it. Because one who is Karta has to become Karma Phala Bhokta. One who is the doer has to become recipient of that result. But the main point here is to appreciate that the ears of the Lord are the directions. Vag vivrutascha vedaha. What is the speech of the Lord? The very famous and well opened up, well elaborated, clear mantras of Vedas, they are speech of the Lord. This bhavana is so beautiful when we are chanting even Veda mantras. What should be our bhavana? That we are chanting Bhagwan's words. Veda Vani is Bhagavad Vani. That is why the first injunction in Sadhana Panchakam is Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. Every day we should do some kind of chanting. And whatever other things we chant, all of them are derived from Vedas only. Somebody might say, I chant Vishnu Sahasranama. Technically it is part of Mahabharata. But we say it is Veda only. Because that is rooted in Vedas. The one who composed it was devotee of the Lord in that way. Vag vivrutascha vedaha. Vayuhu pranaha. What is the prana of Bhagwan? The cosmic air. So whenever there is a strong wind blowing, Bhagwan is doing Kapalbhati. That is his prana, the cosmic wind. In that way one can meditate. Hrudayam Vishwamasya. The heart of the Lord is his entire universe. So here Hrudayam refers to Antakarana, mind. Vishwam means entire universe. Why is it said entire universe is mind of the Lord? Because when mind goes to sleep, world is also not there. Just like in deep sleep, the moment mind goes to sleep, world is also not there. Shankaracharya ji makes a very important statement. He says, world is in mind. Because we have given so much reality to world, and we fail to appreciate that it is appearing only when mind is there. This is because of that we think world is outside, mind is somewhere else. But Vedanta sadhaka makes sure that his mind is calm and peaceful. With that he is able to appreciate this point. If mind is stuck with something outside, very difficult to say world is outside. But these points are such, they are interested in talking about the truth. He says how to understand it, that is our qualification. It cannot be according to our likes and dislikes. You say, right now I don't like to see world as mind. You say, I might not like to see, but it is what it is. That's why when we read Sadhana Chatushtaya, we have to pay close attention to it. All of that will help in Advaita Nishtha. Whenever these points are pointed out, a good student will start thinking in those lines. He might be imperfect. Every time he cannot see world as mind, but at least he will give importance to that thinking. Shankaracharya is going to elaborate on that point. Hridayam Vishwamasya means world is not outside. It is a modification of the mind. If it was independent of the mind, we could see world somewhere and thought somewhere else. Or we could see the world devoid of thought. And when mind goes to sleep, world should still have continued to exist for that person. He says, no, when mind goes to sleep, world also dissolves. Therefore, world is nothing but mind. Two things are always together. One goes away, other also goes away. So that means they are interdependent. Hridayam Vishwamasya Padbhyam Pruthivi. So here Shankaracharya says Vishwam Asya is there, right? Hridayam Vishwamasya. He says convert that Asya to Yasya. Because the whole mantra is talking about that Akshara of whose these are the attributes. Vishwam Asya Hridayam. The one of whom heart is this entire Vishwa. So he says just make that small correction. Instead of, it's not a correction, it's an interpretation. Asya has to be changed to Yasya. Padbhyam Pruthivi, from the feet, earth has emerged. Or in other words, earth is the legs of Bhagwan. Earth is the leg of Bhagwan. Eshaha Sarva Bhutantar Atma. Eshaha, what is Esha referring to? Aparoksha Akshara. That Akshara which we studied in the second mantra, that same Akshara is the Atma of this entire universe of Panchamahabhuta. What is our understanding generally? Akshara is my Atma. Sakshi is witness of my thoughts. What about my neighbor's thoughts? That is some other Sakshi. And what about the rock and the plant? We don't even know whether there is Sakshi. This mantra says that same Akshara is a substratum adhisthana of each and every Panchamahabhuta. One good way to understand this is look at this body. How many parts are there? So infinite number of parts. And one body part is different from the other body part. Even if you start counting number of nerves, it will be a long list. And each one is different from the other. But the self that pervades all body parts, is it different body, if different self, or one self pervading all body parts? One self pervading all body parts. Body parts are different, but self is not different in each one. And it is also not pervading this body as hand is there is one self inside this hand. Right hand one self, left hand one self, head one self. Although they are different, right hand is different from left, head is different from hand. So just like one self pervades different body parts, that same Akshara pervades different things in this creation. So body becomes an example to appreciate what is Antaratma. Antaratma means substratum. So it's a very important mantra. We should see whether we can get this kind of visualization and thinking. That same Akshara, from that this whole universe has emerged. Now you see the Bhashya. Yah api prathamajat pranat Hiranyagarbhat Jayate Andasya Antarvirat Sah Tattvantaritvena Lakshamanah api Etasmat eva Purushat Jayate Etanmayah Cha iti etat artham aha tam cha vishinashti agnihi द्युलोकः असौ वाव लोको गौतमाग्निः इति श्रुतेः मूर्धा यस्य उत्तमाङ्गं शिरः चक्षुषी चन्द्रश्च सूर्यश्च इति यः अपि प्रथमजात् means that Virat who is born out of prathamaja. Prathamajat means firstborn. So who is firstborn? Hiranyagarbhat. Hiranyagarbha is the first manifest conditioning. From Akshara, the first manifest conditioning which emerges is Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic total mind. Hiranyagarbha jayate. Virat is born from Hiranyagarbha. Andasya antar Virat. From this Hiranyagarbha, Virat is born. Although it is pointed out through this interjected conditioning of Hiranyagarbha. They say from Akshara, Hiranyagarbha emerged. From Hiranyagarbha, Viraat Purusha emerged. So the Vyavadhana means obstruction, is there in between of Hiranyagarbha. Still we have to understand Virat is born from Akshara only. You know, sometimes food items, you might have one ingredient. But by the time you see it in the final form, you can't guess that it is made from that ingredient. Because many Vyavadhanas have come in between. You added something else. So still, what is the true knowledge? That this final product has come from that initial product only, initial thing. Tattvantaritvena lakshamanah api. Tattvantaritvena means Hiranyagarbha is the antarala, the intermediate thing between Akshara and Virat. Although it is indicated in this way, that Akshara is born from Hiranyagarbha, etasmad eva purushat jayate. Virat is also born from that same consciousness, etan mayaha. It is filled with that Akshara. Means it's a modification of Akshara. Either you say it is modification, but not real modification. Vivarta modification. Or you say it is filled with. Maya has two meanings. Etan mayaha cha iti etad artham aha. That is the main point which is being communicated here. That whenever you see this world, don't see it as world alone. Try to bring this understanding that its cause is Virat. Its cause is Akshara. When you see Virat, appreciating that the substratum is Akshara. Tamcha vishinashti. That is what is indicated. Agnihi dyulokaha. Shankaracharya says, if you have a question, why did I translate Agni as heaven? He says in other Upanishad, this statement has come, Asau vava lokaha Gautam Agnihi. Dyuloka is called as Agni. So when it is said Agnir Murda, it is not referring to the fire that we are familiar with. That's why Upanishad mantras without bhashya becomes very difficult to understand. So we will give all cross references, etc. So Agnir Murda means heaven is the head of that Viraat Purusha. Murdha yasya uttamangaha shariram. Murdha means that which is the exalted part of the body, uttamangam. Best part. Now, what is so best about head? What we just saw. Several jnanendriyas and karmaindriya that is fitted in this head. Chakshushi Chandra Surya. The eyes are moon and the sun. Chakshushi Chandra Surya. Did we see the next part? No, right? We didn't chant the next. Chandra Surya Yasya iti Sarvatra Anushangah Kartavyah Asya Etasya Padasya Vakshamanasya Yasya iti Viparinamam Krutva Dishashrotre Yasya Vagvivrutaha Udghatitaha Prasiddhaha Vedaha Yasya Vayuhu Pranaha Yasya Hrudayam Antahkaranam Vishwam Samastam Jagat Asya Yasya iti etat Chandra Suryau Yasya iti Sarvatra Anushangah Kartavyah. In all these terms which are given, Agnir Murda, he says after that you have to add Yasya. Means the one of whom head is heaven. Chakshushi Chandra Suryau Yasya. One of whom eyes are moon and the sun. So Yasya has to be added for every pair of or every indicator of Viraat Purusha. Chandra Surya Yasya iti Sarvatra Anushangah Kartavya. Now he says, Asya etasya padasya vakshamanasya Yasya viparinamam krutva dishashrotre Yasya. So wherever you see Asya word, you have to convert it to Yasya. So second line you see, Vayuf Prano Hrudayam Vishwamasya. So wherever Asya word is used, it is used only in one place. So there we have to change it into Yasya. If you say only Asya, then the sentence also will not be completed. He say Asyam Asya Hrudayam Vishwam. Asya Hrudayam Vishwam, then what? That sentence will also remain incomplete if you say Asya. So he says, convert that to Yasya. So Dishashrotre Yasya, the one whose ears are directions. Vag Vivrutaha. The Vedas are the speech. So what is the meaning of Vag Vivrutaha? Udghatitaha. Udghatitaha means well opened up. So what is well opened up Vedas? One meaning is clear pronunciation. Udatta, Anudatta, Swarita, Alpa Prana, Mahaprana. Ba and Bha, Sha and Sha. So whenever that is done properly, that is called as Udghatitaha. We had seen this when we saw Aparavidya, that Veda mantras when we chant, we should have a lot of diligence towards pronunciation. From our side, there should be 100% effort. Whatever we cannot pronounce, that's okay. But if I start with this mindset that whatever I pronounce is okay, then it will be difficult to correct that pronunciation. Udghatitaha prasiddhaha. Prasiddha means which is very famous. Means among those who are on this spiritual path, amongst them Vedas are very popular. Because if you just ask how many people are there in this world and how popular is Vedas amongst all of them, it's not in that way. Those who are astikas, and those who are sadhakas. They should be very well aware of the source of all their sadhanas and knowledge. Source is Vedas. Vag vivrutaha udghatitaha prasiddhaha vedaha yasya. The one whose speech is Veda mantras. Vayuhu pranaha yasya. One whose pranas are the cosmic air. This is such a beautiful upasana. Wherever you see breeze blowing, one way to say is, this is breeze. You analyze the wind direction, analyze the speed. Another bhavana is, this is Bhagwan's breath. The most purifying, that is Bhagwan's upadhi, Bhagwan's conditioning. Vayuhu pranaha yasya. Hrudayam antahkaranam. Hrudayam here refers to antahkarana, the mind. Hrudayam vishwamasya is there in the mantra. So Hrudayam refers to antahkarana. And Vishwam means samastam jagat, the entire universe. The one whose mind or heart is entire universe, that is this Akshara. So if you think of cosmic Purusha, the heart of that cosmic Purusha, the mind of that cosmic Purusha is this entire universe. Now you see the beauty of deep sleep and pralaya. Individual mind, when it goes to deep sleep, the world for that person dissolves. In the same way, when pralaya happens in samashti, what is samashti pralaya? Bhagwan's deep sleep. So when deep sleep happens at samashti level, which is called as pralaya, just like individual world got dissolved, cosmic world gets dissolved. That is this Hrudayam Vishwamasya. Now Shankaracharya makes that statement, what we were discussing. You see that next statement. Sarvam hi antah karana vikaram eva jagat manasi iva sushupte pralaya darshanat jagarite api tatah eva agni visphullingavat vipratishthanat He says, pay very close attention to that statement. Sarvam hi antah karana vikaram eva. Whatever we call as Jagat is a modification of thought. There is no reason to say world is independent of thought. Of course, there are many objections and different things person can raise. He says, if world is thoughts, I can think of anything and that thing should come in front. That doesn't happen. He says that is the difference between Jiva and Ishvara. For Ishvara, thought is sufficient to manifest creation. But for Jiva, thought and karma both are needed. It would have been very nice otherwise. You say, I want to build a building, and that building appears in front. He says, no, you have sankalpa and you need karma to fulfill that sankalpa. In case of Ishvara, sankalpa srishti happens. See, the point is not to say that world is different and mind is different. You can raise so many objections. You might disprove it also. But that is not going to help us. If we have to prepare ourselves for non-dual truth and for teachings like in Mandukya, they say right from the beginning, put these thoughts and keep thinking about it. That one line, whenever mind is calm and quiet, we have to reflect more and more. Sarvam hi antahkarana vikaram eva. Whatever I am seeing here as universe, that is a modification of thought. The intermediate element there is karma. Why am I seeing only these things? Somebody else is seeing something else. You see, everything is because of appropriate karma phala coming to that person. Diversity is explained through karma. But the main point there is, it is not an independent entity outside. It's a modification of thought. Jagat manasi iva. World exists in thought. Manasi is in 7th case. Jagat manasi iva. That's why that manasi iva becomes manasyeva. Jagat manasi iva. Sushuptehe pralaya darshanat. In deep sleep, everything gets dissolved, everything gets wiped off. If world was independent of mind, even if mind went away into deep sleep, world should have continued to exist. This is because world also gets wiped off. Look at that anubhava, look at that experience very closely. And don't give too much reality to this world. Transactional reality is okay for vyavahara's sake, but not making that as whole and soul. How much is our ability to let go of this world? That will decide how much we are able to abide in the truth. Both I cannot hold on to with the same degree of reality. World also is real. Akshara is also real. That is like, I want to remain asleep also. I want to remain awake also. You see, you can't do both. Either one. Then what happens when we wake up? Jagarite api tatah eva. When we wake up from that same akshara, agni vispullingavat. Just like the sparks emerge from that fire, different things emerge from that truth. Vipratishtanat. All of them have emerged from that truth. Yasya cha padbhyam jata pruthivi eshah devah vishnuh anantah prathama-shariri trailokya-deho-padihi sarvesham bhutanam antaratma sahi sarvabhuteshu drashta shrota manta vijñata sarvakaranatma. Yasya cha padbhyam jata prithvi. The one from whose feet earth is born. Means the way you have to understand is, earth is the feet of the Lord. Earth is the feet of the Lord. Eshah devaha. Eshah, that whom we understood as Akshara, that Akshara is being pointed out here. The name given for that Akshara is Vishnu. So what is Vishnu here? The one who pervades all. Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. The root or the essential meaning of Vishnu is Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. One who pervades everything, that Akshara, that is called as Vishnu. Anantaha, one who is infinite. Prathama-shariri. Prathama-shariri means the first holder of gross body. Jiva's sharira comes much later. First gross body is taken up by Viraat Purusha. First comes totality, then comes individuality. That's why he gets the term prathama-shariri. Trailokya Dehopadihi, the one whose conditioning are the three worlds. Now this is where Vedanta Sara will come helpful. What are the three worlds? We don't have to say Bhuhu Bhuvaha Swaha, because three worlds have to include all 14 worlds. So you say Bhuloka, lokas which are below it, lokas which are above it. Three lokas. Three lokas put together makes one Brahmanda. Either you say three lokas or 14 worlds put together makes one Brahmanda. Like that, there are countless Brahmandas. The one who pervades all of it is that Akshara. Who is pervading Brahmaloka right now? This is the same witness of thought. Who is pervading Swargaloka right now? Same Akshara, witness of thought. That is the Mahima of this Akshara. He is not trapped within this body. He is that substratum in which this whole Brahmanda appears. These statements, it will keep pushing us to appreciate whether we are moving in the right direction of Advaita Vedanta. To say that Akshara is the substratum of Brahmanda, and that Akshara is me, myself. That is how meditation will become deeper. Trailokya Dehopadihi Sarvesham Bhutanam. He is the Antaratma. Sarvesham Bhutanam Antaratma, the inner self of all Panchamahabhutas. Bhutanam here refers to Sthula Panchamahabhuta. Because this verse is talking only about gross universe, Viraat Purusha. We are not discussing Hiranyagarbha here. So Bhutanam Antaratma means particularly of Sthula Panchamahabhuta. The Antaratma is that same Akshara. Now what do we mean by Antaratma? He says, Sahi Sarvabhuteshu Drashta. One who is the seer, Shrota, listener, Manta Vijnata. One who is the thinker, one who is the one understanding, Sarva Karanatma. He is the substratum of all these things. Adhisthana of all these things, that is this Akshara. Okay, so this mantra we have to keep thinking and also appreciate the poetry part of it. Like how we saw the Gagan Methal Arti. So wherever you see Virata Purusha Dhyanam, the main point to note there is the substratum is consciousness. And to make it sweeter, they will have more stories, they will have more things that they share about the same Virata Purusha. One story is this, or one statement to think is this. If Virata Purusha is so big, we are not only talking about this earth. What are we talking about? 3 lokas. And like that, there are several Brahmandas. If that is the Sharira, body of Virata Purusha, how will you get the clothing for Bhagwan's Sharira? One who is infinite, which tailor will stitch Bhagwan's clothes which are infinite? That is why we say Bhagwan is Digambaraha. One who has space as his clothing. That is Bhagwan. In Srimad Bhagavatam, almost in every other chapter, this Virata Rupa comes. Bhagavad Gita also, there are many cross connections. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। हरि ओम।